welcome to Day Drinking with Ace. I'm Erica's social media manager for Ace Influencers, and today I am joined by Mia. And today we are going to be talking all about personal aesthetic.
You look like you could use a drink.
We are. And Mia is one of the influencer managers at the agency. And a fun fact about Mia, she and I have the exact same birthday.
We do.
And we're only born literally a couple of hours when you account for the time difference.
I still can't believe it.
I know. I think that's the wildest thing ever. Like, same year, same everything.
Yeah.
But why we thought Mia is the perfect guest today to talk about personal aesthetic is because despite us being born just a couple of hours apart, Mia and I both have very different aesthetics.
We really do.
And we also both have very clear aesthetics.
Yes.
We both definitely have our own. So how would you describe your aesthetic?
Right now, I would describe my aesthetic as, I think it's viewed as maybe edgy and a kind of like a alternate kind of, an alt kind of vibe,
Yeah.
which is really strange to say because I don't feel that way.
Yeah, and that's not really your personality.
No.
either.
So
Yeah.
I don't really know why I feel most comfortable dressed like this. I think recently, as styles and trends have changed, it's been very much girl top, boy bottoms, or boy bottoms, girl top, and I tried to sort of put that into my style, and then just kind of went from there, really.
See, if I were to describe your style, I would describe it as 2000s pop star.
That is the biggest compliment I've ever heard in my life, Erica.
I think it's very much giving like 2000s pop star, whether that's like on stage outfit or like, you know, what you'd see pop stars wearing like when they get papped back in the 2000s, and you know, you'd look through like a teen mag. Yeah. That's the other stuff. That's how I see it as.
What about you? How would you describe your style?
I would say that I dress classic with an edge. But then I also like to have a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
I think it's become more and more feminine as I got older.
Yeah.
I remember when I was 13, my mom told me I needed to stop dressing so casual. And by that she meant stop wearing vintage crew neck sweatshirts and boy jeans and Converse, and I needed to kind of class it up a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
So I think, but over the years, I think I used to really not want to dress really girly. Like, my mom never even dressed me in pink when I was a baby. She was like, I absolutely will not dress. We talked about this in the office, actually.
See, my mum really did. My mum was very pink is for girls, blue is for boys. She has regretted that now since talking to her. But because she was quite young, she wanted to dress her little girl in pink and blue. So I think because when I got a little bit older and started to dress myself, I kind of like rebelled against that a little bit. But when I got a bit older, I was like, oh, I can like pink as well, you know?
Yeah, see, I think when I was younger and everything, my mom, so she was a tomboy growing up, so she hated wearing dresses when she was younger. So she never wanted to put me in pink. She was like, oh, no, that's too girly. I don't want her to be a girly girl. Like, it wasn't me growing up. And then, like, as I got older, I think I also just was like, oh, I don't want to look too girly because people won't take you seriously or whatever it is. And then I realized, I think maybe when I turned like 22 or something, I was like, oh, you know, wearing dresses is kind of fun. And then I thought dresses were kind of just for like dressing up and going out. I always really enjoyed doing that. But then I actually found casual dresses that are comfortable and look very me. And I think that part of that is like you said, styles have changed now. So there's actually a lot of pieces out there now that feel very me. So which made me like buy a lot of things up because I'm like I want this.
I think in the last like year or so, the clothes that I wear now are just trendy, like Avril Lavigne, Olivia Rodrigo kind of thing. It's
pop stars. This is what I'm talking about.
It's kind of like that, and also with the whole Barbie movement last year, I think a lot of women were allowed to be sort of unapologetically feminine.
Yeah, and a lot more kind of costume as well. Like have a little
Yeah, exactly, because what did RuPaul say? You're all born naked and the rest is dry.
Yeah.
There we go. But I honestly, last year for my birthday, I wore like a tight pink dress that like a bubble gum dust on the top, with like a bow in my hair, and I still feel like I would still love to wear that, you know. And that was only a year ago, but everyone was being like, "Hi, Barbie," to me on the streets. It's great. So there is still a little bit of that.
Versus I wore last year for my birthday, I wore a very short white mini skirt with like a backless white top, but like high neckline. Like I think a lot of what, especially being short, I feel like a lot of my personal aesthetic is a lot of like balancing things. So like my great grandmother, she was actually a costume designer, and then like and then my grandma, she has really good style. My mom has really good like classic style, and she's from LA. So my grandmother and my mom always taught me a lot about like basically to be really mindful about like how you dress, like proportions, like what looks good on like your body type and things like that. So I feel like an element of like my personal aesthetic is very much like trying to optimize basically what looks good on my body. You know, like I'm sure, do you have things where you're like, you know, maybe something kind of is you, but like you can't wear it, but then is that really you if it doesn't look good? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, the whole low-rise jeans kind of thing. I think I do wear low-rise jeans, but not in the sense that some people do. Yeah. Like the whole Y2K kind of trend, I think that there is a certain limit to that. Like, I like it when it's slightly modernized, but some of it, I think, just should have stayed in the past.
To be fair, like low-rise jeans actually look really good on me. So I've been really happy that low-rise jeans came back because, like, this actually goes to this, like, high-rise jeans on me actually are not right for my body type because when you're shorter and like my waist is kind of short, but I have a very defined waist. But so what high-rise jeans do is they almost kind of look like I'm wearing a diaper in a weird way. But like low-rise jeans lengthen my torso. Yeah. And they actually flatter more because it actually weirdly shows how defined my waist is. Yeah. So it accentuates like your hips, which then if you have a small waist, it makes it look like that much.
Yeah, that's true. I do like I wear low-rise in the sense of like, do you remember? Where it's kind of like baggy. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But there's the low-rise ones that are like tight. The tiny little thing. Yeah. They can stay.
But like the skinny jean ones.
They've got the tiny little
those are so bad.
Yeah.
Like the little shorts.
Yes.
Those were really bad. I think as well, my problem though with discovering this is crop tops. I am somebody that looks much better in a longer top and low-rise jeans than in a crop top and high-waist trousers.
That's really interesting.
But the problem with that is because high-waist trousers and crop tops were popular for so long. Now I'm left with low-rise jeans and crop tops. And so a lot of my budget on clothes this past year has gone to finding
evening it out,
like long tops. So I need to get rid of all my crop tops.
Sure.
But okay, so you must have gone through a lot of aesthetic changes.
I certainly have
over the years.
I'm sure you have as well.
Yeah. Take us through your personal aesthetic evolution.
Not the years. So when I was younger, my mum and my grandma actually, she was very heavily involved in the way that I dressed.
Both of us.
Yeah. My grandma and my mum are the most glamorous people you've ever met in your life. Leopard print, sequins. My mum will wear these kind of boots to Tesco. She's that kind of woman. We love her. And so I was brought up around that kind of energy, fur coats when I was 3 kind of thing. And then when
I have a real fur coat.
My mum does.
Gosh, I love it. I wish it would come back. It's sitting in my closet.
If they were, safe to...
Not going to get paid through. But anyway, keep going.
So I was brought up very girly, around a very feminine kind of family, I guess. And then I think I started to rebel as I got to about 8 years old when I started to get more opinions. I think you just naturally do. I was very into Busted, Avril Lavigne, Green Day, that kind of thing. I had rainbow fingerless gloves that I used to wear.
Oh my god.
Everything had a skull and crossbones on it. And there's a photo of me. Every family holiday photo, I'm in the background just going.
This is so interesting because you said you were 8. When I was 8, I went full, my mom called it my Fidel Castro era because I'm not kidding. All I was wearing was like army khaki color green, like brown, green, and I was fully wearing like things that looked very like army aesthetic.
Yeah. That's really weird.
At 8.
Maybe it was just the time.
Maybe it was an 8-year-old thing.
It must have been.
And then what was that?
What did I do when I was... I think my mum did dress me a lot. So when I started to dress myself, I didn't really know what to do. So there was a bit of a sticky patch. So I think I just started dressing like everyone at school. So kind of like American Apparel skater skirt, the pastels, the bows in the hair, tie-dye.
This is so interesting because obviously this is literally the same age.
Yeah.
It's crazy hearing the exact same.
Really?
Like,
The same?
I did the exact same. I also did the American Apparel phase with the skater skirts. And did you have like those disco trousers?
I really wanted them. My mum would not let me.
She wouldn't let you.
She wouldn't let me. The disco pants.
Yes, the disco
That went
pants.
all the way up here.
Yeah.
They were incredible. And I wore a lot of like jelly shoes, like half up, half down, the poses like this, in the pictures, that kind of thing.
Did you have one of the velvet American Apparel hair clips? Like the
The
bow?
bows.
Yeah.
Yeah. I made my own as well, actually. Yeah. What else did I do? I made a lot of my own jewellery. I became, my grandma actually was called me very quirky. I don't really know what that's about, just because I don't really dress like everyone. Someone from Brighton, I don't really dress like everyone there. I don't think. But every time I tell people that, they're like, you're not like crazy quirky, you know?
But I think that is interesting because I don't know Brighton that well, but I can imagine that looking at you, like I would never think you're from Brighton. And I think a lot of times, like I guess you and I have had the same comment, like people will always look at me and they'll say, you don't look like you're from Oregon. You don't look like you're from Portland, Oregon, because everyone in Oregon is a hipster that like smokes weed and wears Birkenstocks. I only just bought my first pair of Birkenstocks because I had to, because I had no shoes to wear to the beach. Like, and that felt like a low for me.
Brighton is exactly the same. Brighton is very hippy dippy, and then there's also a lot of Love Islanders are from Brighton, so very that aesthetic as well. Like two very different halves, which is really interesting.
So that's really interesting then, because we both basically came from places where our personal aesthetics are completely different from where we grew up. And have always seems like been that way.
For sure. Very strange.
So then what happened once you got like to uni? Because that's always an interesting time of like trying to figure out your aesthetic.
So university, I went in 2015 to 2018, and I am so happy that I did, because the Snapchat era, listening to Drake, the Velvet Chokers.
Oh my gosh,
them.
I had a Dior one. It's
Nice.
a Dior and it's a velvet one. It's still actually kind of a vibe.
Yeah, they still are. Bring back the choker. They were so, and like the box eyebrows. The more makeup you wore,
The better.
the better. I used to highlight my shoulders for lectures.
Oh my god, I did that too. I used to do my
I
own
think you're
time
exactly
performance.
the
Yeah. That's so weird that we both like the same stuff. And I mean, granted, it is kind of like of the era.
Yes,
But
I
like,
think 2017 was like a strong era where everyone just kind of wore the same.
did you guys have the whole thing where everybody just wore like black jeans, black boots, cute top?
And like the Adidas trainers.
Yes.
Jeans and a nice top.
Yeah, it was
Was
the
the same.
superstars.
Yes, it was the superstars.
Yeah.
They
The
were
Sam
great.
Smiths.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely had that era. That was a very easy era. It was just like more is more.
It was a
Everyone's doing the
really,
same thing.
yeah, it was a really easy era. Really, it didn't matter kind of what you were wearing. It was way more about the makeup.
Yes.
It was like
that's true.
overconsumption core on the makeup. It was like, what is the best highlight to make you look like you could be seen from outer space?
Yeah.
And like the heaviest foundation possible
Yeah.
to cover absolutely everything. And the Anastasia Beverly Hills
Yes.
dip brow.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Too much of that was used on me. It was ridiculous. We used to wear, that's true actually, because we used to just wear like big t-shirts sort of thing, and big jumper dresses. And the thigh boots. Ariana Grande, I think, was very heavily influenced that era for sure. But you're right about that with makeup.
It was way more focused on makeup than on style.
Yeah.
And I feel like now it's actually flipped because nobody's really wearing that much makeup anymore. It's way more about skincare.
Yeah.
And then it's way more about kind of how you dress.
Which in a way, I do kind of miss the 2017 era, because now I feel like you don't have to, but makeup trends are more, you have to look like you're not wearing any makeup, but you also have to look quite flawless. Because back in the day, if you just put on 5 layers of foundation,
everybody looked the same, everybody looked caked.
Yeah. You were good to go.
Where are the big lashes?
Oh gosh, I had too much makeup and too many lashes.
So
on the face.
and then what happened after that, basically, with your style?
So I think I went very street, which is disgusting to come out of my mouth. I was wearing like camo trousers, but they weren't like camouflage. Like,
were they what do you call it?
They just had loads of pockets on.
Yeah.
Like camo trousers. Cargos. I had like beanies, eyeliner, big jumpers, the feeler.
I had the platform feelers.
I had the platform feelers. I had bright yellow hair, and I had a different hair.
I had the
still
bright
have
pink
that,
and the bright green.
Nice. Yeah. And then I think some of that is kind of still with me. Like this chain I got in 2018, but it used to be here.
So that's what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you. So out of like all these different eras, which it sounds like you and I, because of our age and everything, what's funny is we've both went through all the same phases. I would say
that's really interesting.
I'd say we all went through the same phases of how we dress, but now we have come out completely different. So what things would you say like you have taken from different eras? You know, like what pieces have come with you versus what hasn't?
I think because I moved back to Brighton after uni, I very much tried to fit into the Love Island aesthetic. I, like you, had bleach blonde extensions down to my waist.
I miss that.
I had the Russian lashes. I was tan, tight little dress, and I felt really pretty, but like I didn't feel as myself as I do now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I had that because I was going to Vegas all the time.
Yes.
So it was very much like dress as pretty kind of as you can be. So it was very much like fake lashes, really nice tight poly dresses, like banging bod, high heels, extensions, all of that. But I feel like the pretty aesthetic, or like what you know society is going to be like, she's fucking hot. That's very different. And like you said, it felt like, I definitely look hot, but this isn't me.
Yeah, like who am I hot for?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? No. But why?
Yeah. So what now has made you, like, when you finally realize, like, this is not me, what made you actually sit down and think about what makes your aesthetic? Where did you get your personal aesthetic from after all this?
I think Barcelona has a big impact for sure. I think when I moved back to London, the friends that I made, the music that I listened to, the places that I used to go to, sort of like pubs and queer venues. I've got a lot of queer friends, so I go to a lot of queer spaces, and I think the queer community have really inspired me to just dress however I want. Because I think I've tried them all. So I'm probably going to feel very stupid looking back on what I'm dressed like now, but at least I've sort of I feel good in like an aesthetic, and I can say that 2024, I thought it was a rock chick. You know? I think, but sorry, I've digressed a lot. But I think dressing for your younger self is a very healing thing.
I think so too.
The little girl with the fingerless gloves doing that in every photo, she's still here.
Yeah.
You know? She hasn't really gone. And my parents weren't like dressing in all black and eyeliner and stuff. That's just something that I liked myself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess for me, my equivalent when I was younger, this is gonna sound so I remember the first bag I was ever given was like one of those free cosmetic bags my grandma gave me, and it was a Christian Dior ballet pink one.
Yes.
And I remember I loved that, and I loved the little perfume sample that came with it. And that felt very me when I was 4. And I remember then once I got older and I was like buying my first designer handbag, right? I looked at all the designers. I was like, I need to find, and this was probably the point at which I really figured out what defined my personal aesthetic. It's like, I want a bag that looks like me, right? Because I'm spending all this money, I want it to look like me. And I went through them all, and ultimately I landed on Dior. And I looked at all the bags and I was like, you know what, this is a full circle one, because little me loved Dior, she likes that aesthetic. And then I went with the Lady Dior, and I looked at that bag, like having it in person, and I was like, this bag is me. This is what I want to look like. And then I was like, well, the way that I'm dressing, like this doesn't align with this bag. So then I started thinking, I was like, ultimately, what is my aesthetic? My aesthetic is very simple. I don't wear prints. I stick to my color scheme, which is, I love green, I like blue, I like white, I just got rid of terrible black. And I basically just now, my aesthetic is literally dressing so that almost everything could go with that white Dior bag, which is so like.
Sometimes it only takes one item, one thing to like inspire you, and then when you go out shopping, it's like, oh, that can match this, and then you just start building like a whole new kind of wardrobe and aesthetic that way.
And have you ever had it? Because I mean, I moved over here from the States. I definitely always, and like you had this in Brighton, like I always felt like I couldn't dress the way I wanted to because that didn't match Portland. And then like moving over here, I'd say it has both it's really let me lean into one side of my like personal aesthetic, but I think it's also taken away some of my joy of dressing from another side of my aesthetic. Because I also, I think another side of my aesthetic is I love dressing like I'm moving to a party. I always thought, I want to be that person that, you see them walking down the street and you think, wow, where is she going?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Sure. People definitely do that everywhere I've had before. Sure.
Well, no, but I mean, I have this bag from By Far, and it's like holographic and green. And I love the disco vibe.
Yeah.
So I feel like my going out aesthetic ideally is very much like disco fun, but contemporary. You know what I mean? In a sleek way. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, do you have two different sides? I feel like you do have two different sides. Because you have the very much, I'd say sporty spice sort of vibe. And then you have the pop star vibe, I would say.
I don't know. I think there is some parts of girliness left in how I dress. I think in the summer I dress a lot more hippie-ish. Okay. I would say in the last years. Very dresses, maxi skirts with maybe with a dog mask. And then in the winter I feel like I dress a lot more preppy. Yeah. With a little jumper, a little skirt, this kind of silhouette I really like. And I feel like it can chop and change to kind of any aesthetic really. Just like a skirt and a little crop top, I think just really, and a chunky shoe.
So obviously, when it comes to personal aesthetic, and obviously people listening are going to be wondering how they could find their own personal aesthetic.
Yes.
What would be your number one piece of advice to people trying to find their personal aesthetic? If somebody's lost and they're like, they're following trends and blah, 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 blah. Like, what would you say, like, are great tips?
I think my main tip would be, if you look at someone and you think they look really cool, they look gorgeous, like, I wish I could wear something like that. I wish I could pull something like that off. You can be that person that someone looks at you and says, oh, I wish I could wear that. That person probably thought what you're thinking right now. So if you think, oh, that leopard print coat is a bit too much, who says?
Yeah.
I see people wearing that stuff all the time. You don't look at them and say, oh, what are they wearing? If it's loud and if it's fun, if it makes you feel comfortable, then be that person that people look to.
And like lean into it.
Yes.
I feel like the harder you actually lean into something you like, and a bit like how I said, like, oh, I really like my Dior bag, and I was like, well, lean into that. Or like, I lean into my by far bag for the other side of me. I'm like, I'm gonna lean into this. Like having anchor pieces in a weird way. But you say like, like, have you ever had like sunglasses or a piece of jewelry or something, and you're just like, I'm gonna lean into that.
Yeah, it's not jewelry, but I have this, I'm a coat girl. I love the summer, but I've got so many coats. I've got this red leather tassel-y, like biker jacket, and I can't for the life of me find an outfit to like go with it because it's quite big and bulky. But I think just having that, I was going to sell it, but I haven't, because I'm
Is it just you? Is that the you piece?
Yeah, it really is. But even though I can't find an outfit to wear with it, I kind of know the kind of aesthetic that goes with it. So it kind of like,
it anchors you.
It puts something in my brain. And I also, going off of that, I think that I've tried to, I think I've known that I felt most comfortable being dressed like this for a while, but I've kind of felt a bit shy to just jump into the aesthetic at full. So if you're trying to do an aesthetic, just go for it. And even if you think that you're going to look stupid in a few years because you've done too much, at least you did it. And then you can find another one that suits you when you're older, just to go for it.
I was going to say, I feel like it's always hard to jump into personal aesthetic when it doesn't match the place where you are.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that does depend on where you live, where you work, the people you surround yourself with. So if everything is kind of aligned and you're happy with all those places, then that will kind of align a little bit more.
So like on that subject, so obviously we have to be in a lot of different settings, right? Like you do stand-up comedy, you work at Blank Street, you also work at the agency, and like we go to all sorts of different places. So what tips would you say you'd give people on how to maintain your personal aesthetic in different settings? Because I think this is a big one. Like we've talked about.
For sure. I think if you're working in a job that you have to wear a uniform, just choose one thing that's going to make you feel like you that day. Having a little bit of you in everything that you wear, even if you're wearing a uniform, as much as you can, I think makes you feel really comfortable. So what would you say?
I think for me it's probably my hair, like hair and makeup, like you said, and I think shoes. Hair, makeup, and shoes. That's always one of the big things. I think as well, like obviously a lot of times you have to dress or like look for a certain situation, but you have to find a way to like put your own edge on it. Like for instance, later on in my time in Vegas, for instance, right? Like I still wanted to look really pretty, and the way that I did that was my hair and my makeup and my shoes. But my outfits, I wanted to stand out. So once you've established how to look your best in a certain situation, then you can have some fun with it and put yourself into it.
Absolutely.
And for me, that was wearing like trouser and top sets. That was wearing neon for a while because I figured out that if you're under black light, everyone sees you if you're wearing like neon. So my thing was like, I don't mind being seen. So I figured out how to basically do that in that setting and like adapt my personal aesthetic to that. And I know you had an experience with stand-up comedy.
I did. So once I did a gig after I finished working at Blank Street that I completely forgot about. And I was trying to be really good and still go to the gig. So I was like, oh, fine, I'm just going to have to go, no makeup. Just in my work uniform. I turned my work top inside out, so it didn't look that much. I walked into that room and no one really acknowledged me when I had to toot my own horn, but they normally do.
Yeah.
And I did my set, and it's one of the worst gigs that I ever did. And that might be because everyone is really shallow and only likes pretty comedians. Or it could have been I didn't feel 100% myself and I wasn't giving my best performance.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. I'm not really sure which one it is, but I think both
So
are relevant.
would you say as well that your personal aesthetic will make you be seen the way you want to be seen? It'll also make you feel and present yourself the way that you really are to the best of your ability.
I would agree, yeah. I feel like the more comfortable you are in a situation, if you're going to an event like we do and you know that there's going to be a lot of high profile people there's going to be a lot of networking, sometimes you can feel the pressure to sort of dress like everybody else, but then I feel like I wouldn't be as confident.
Yeah, because you're comparing yourself to other people that are doing literally what they're comfortable
I think the more you feel yourself and what you're wearing, the more confident you are. You carry yourself better, and you do better with networking and have better conversations.
And that's basically how you know when you've arrived at your personal aesthetic, isn't it? It's when you feel 100% completely comfortable no matter what the situation. Because you just look like you do.
The full frontal lobe is fully developed.
Yeah.
You can really feel it.
Okay, well, let's wrap this up. But okay, so our main tips: you are looking to find your personal aesthetic.
Yeah.
We'd probably say think back to who you were as a kid.
Yeah, trust feeling yourself.
Think about pieces that you have or like that you've seen on other people, or pieces you have that you're like, that is an anchor for me. I really like this.
Yeah.
Look at other people and figure out what you love on other people.
Yeah, be that person that people say, I wish I could wear that.
Yeah, be your own inspiration.
There we go, be your own Pinterest board.
And then finally, you will know when you've arrived at your personal aesthetic, truly, because you will be the most comfortable version of yourself. Yeah. And you will portray that very easily to others.
Yeah. And then success will be yours.
Well, there we have it.
There we have it.
Thank you so much, Mia.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this has been fun. Okay, cheers.
Cheers.
You look like you could use a drink.